the announcement of 3DS Online services being slated to go offline in 2024, we don't actually know how much longer Pokemon Bank and Poké Transporter are going to stay usable. They've been stated that they're not going offline with everything else, but they are confirmed to be going offline at some point, and that doesn't give us a definite end date on when they will go offline. As a result, I think it's necessary to make this video describing something most people wouldn't immediately think of when it comes to Pokemon Bank going offline, and that's how to get some otherwise impossible shiny Pokedex entries in Pokemon Home. For those who didn't know, in addition to just being a place to store your shiny living dex, Pokemon Home also tracks for individual species if you've had a shiny version of it deposited into it at some point. You can actually filter Pokemon Home to only show shinies you've had registered on the Pokedex screen under the Forms filter. However, in addition to having to deposit a shiny of that species, there's another way to obtain a shiny dex entry for a given Pokemon, and that's by using Pokemon Bank. While that sounds like you'd still need to obtain the shiny in question and it shouldn't be much of a difference, that's actually not the case at all. Unlike Pokemon Home, Pokemon Bank also uses the Pokedexes of the game it stores Pokemon from when it adds a Pokedex entry to itself. And it can even add new forms if only seen by the game which it's adding them from. Now, as to why that makes a difference, it's simple. The Gen 7 Pokemon games have a feature to scan QR codes to get points towards an island scan. Island scans will spawn in otherwise unattainable Pokemon into the game. We don't actually care about that part though. We care about the QR codes themselves. These QR codes actually register Pokemon as seen in the Pokedex when scanned. And that also applies to if the QR code is for a shiny Pokemon. When these games were new, a set of QR codes were created which have most Pokemon in the games in all of their forms as QR codes, including all Pokemon not in the Alola Pokedex. And as a result, many but not all shiny locked Pokemon up to this point in the series are scannable through QR codes to get their shiny Pokedex entries into Bank, which then lets them go into Home. You can scan 10 QR codes each day on a given save file of Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon. Once you've done this, you want to save the game you scanned them on, load up Pokemon Bank, load up the game you scanned them on in Bank, then load Bank's Pokedex for it to update properly, make some small change in Bank, then save again. Now the next time you transfer from Bank to Home, all Pokemon you've scanned will have their shiny Pokedex entries in Home. The link to the QR pack will be in the description for the ones which aren't impossible for the people interested in getting the rest. The ones which are required to scan through this to get their entries, though, are as follows. Victini, both Keldeo, both Meloetta, Ash Greninja, Pokeball Pattern Vivillon, both Hoopas, and Volcanion. Additionally, it would probably be helpful to scan these ones as well, as hunting them specifically can be really tedious, or otherwise they're just not normally available anymore. They are Mew, every unknown form, Celebi, Jirachi, all forms of Deoxys, Manaphy, Darkrai, both Shaymins, all Arceus, all Genesect, both Diancies, Type Null, and Silvally. If you feel like doing this for completeness sake, despite not doing anything anymore, Eternal Flower Floette's QR code for both shiny and regular variants are also present in the pack, so feel free to scan them to say you did so. These two used to break the Dex feature completely and lead to weird entries appearing that shouldn't appear, making some otherwise impossible entries happen. This led to me getting most of the Cat Pikachu shiny entries before it was fixed. In theory, Cosmog, Cosmoem, Magearna, Original Color Magearna, and Marshadow would also exclusively be obtainable through QR codes. However, there was never a reason given as to why these Pokemon aren't in the QR code pack, and as a result, their QR codes don't currently exist. I've tried to force the game to generate them, however, I've not really had much success at that, nor do I have the tools which are used to generate the rest of the QR codes, as it seems to require the private key associated with making the Pokedex entry QR codes, which I know has been found by members of the community in the past, but it still wouldn't be that easy to find. If someone out there has an explanation as to why they weren't included, or has a way of generating those missing QR codes, I would greatly appreciate it. All other Gen 7 legendary and mythical Pokemon have some other means to be obtained shiny, however their QR codes existing would still be beneficial to people who don't already have them, or in the case of Zeraora, won't require a specific event Pokemon. Poipole is still a 1 in 4096 soft reset NPC hunt and very tedious for people who didn't get its event shiny back in the day. Additionally, one more Pokemon is required to be shiny hunted to get its shiny dex entry, as its shiny QR code doesn't work properly, and that Pokemon is Partner Cat Pikachu. The Ashcat Pikachu's QR codes all scan as a regular Pikachu, so you can't scan them for their shinies, leaving all but this one shiny dex entry as impossible. This one's shiny huntable due to a quirk with its shiny lock, which uses the wrong trainer shiny value in its shiny check, locking based on the player's TSV instead of the one for the IDs which it has for itself, leaving a 1 in 4096 chance of the lock functioning properly. For the rest of us, this is a full odds 1 in 4096 shiny which doesn't look any different to its regular variant. It does, however, still count in Pokemon Home as a shiny dex entry. In order to even do the hunt, you must first scan this QR code in Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon to get the delivery man to show up at Pikachu Valley. This gift is once per save file, so if you already got it, you need to start a new save file for the hunt. Some of these might be floating around online as well, since it's a unique shiny in the series history, so it's not as high priority as the other QR code mons, which have literally no alternative. However, if you think you ever might become interested in getting all shiny dex entries in Pokemon Home, I suggest dealing with the Pokemon in this video sooner rather than later, or just scanning all the QR codes you can, because there is going to be a day when Bank is gone for good, and this will never be possible again. Thank you all for watching my small attempt at a PSA here. I'll see you next time. Later on, Buzz.